So my daughter, 10, is a very gifted cheerleader. She can do skills meant for much older girls. She's a flyer at our local gymnastics gym. She also have a very severe medical condition. I've told her coach that if she gets sick or faints during practice she has to call me. Her coach has the mindset that kids getting sick or passing out just means they've worked hard and isn't a big deal. I disagree, but I thought she understood that it isn't the same for my daughter. Also, they have a big meet coming up and my daughter is the main flyer in all the stunts and does a lot of things none of the other kids can do. Well, last week she worked really hard at practice and threw up. Rather than calling me, her coach just told her to get some water and come back. She told me what happened when I picked her up and I was mad. I immediately took her to the local children's hospital, and luckily she was fine. I called her coach, who basically told me she has a lot of kids and can't cater to all their individual needs and that my daughter didn't seem sick, so it wasn't a big deal. I was really upset that she didn't care at all. I might have forgiven her if it was just a mistake and she forgot, but this could have put my daughter in real danger, and the coach didn't show any signs of remorse for her actions or willingness to call me next time. So I spoke with my daughter and we decided to try and see if there were any other cheer teams in the area. She isn't close with a lot of the girls there as most are older than her, so she didn't mind moving gyms. There was a team looking for a flyer, so she tried out and made it. I called the coach and said she quit the team. Her coach flipped out and said they needed her for the meet. I basically said she should have thought about that before she decided not to call me. She told me all about how she would have to change most of her routine because the other girls couldn't do as much as my daughter. She says this is basically an automatic lose because they have barely any time to prepare. I again said I didn't care. I told the situation to my sister and she thinks I'm partly the a-hole for pulling her out a week and a half before the competition. She thinks we should have just waited until the competition was over before leaving. But the week before the competition they have practice every day for 6 hours and I didn't feel that, after what happened, I could trust a coach with my daughter and I am not able to stay in the lobby the entire time. I feel bad for the other girls because they likely won't be as good with not much time to prep before the competition, but I don't necessarily regret my decision. Am I the a-hole? Should I have just waited to pull her out or given the coach the benefit of the doubt? Not the a-hole, that coach is overworking those kids full stop, and that isn't healthy. If a kid's throwing up because of how hard they're being worked, that's a serious health threat and not something your kid should be dealing with. Also, the coach saying things like she didn't seem sick is moronic because she actually threw up. You didn't make the team lose, you got your kid out of a potentially hazardous and toxic team environment as soon as you became aware of it. She meant that she felt her forehead and didn't have a fever. For my daughter, it likely wouldn't even matter if she has a fever or not, she could have kidney failure. Yeah, still doesn't really help your coach's case. Your daughter threw up, obviously something was wrong, even though she didn't have a fever. Any competent coach would have realized that. Definitely not a good environment for your daughter, and you saw that and rectified it as soon as you were able, so you're still in the right. Not the a-hole, but maybe consider getting your daughter a phone for emergencies so she'll be able to advocate for herself should something like this ever happen again. Doesn't have to be a nice one, just one that she can call you on. She has an iPad which she can text and call on. It was in the locker room and the water fountain is in the main gym. She said the coach said it was fine, so she didn't think it was a big deal. I realize she only 10, but it might be good to have a conversation about the circumstances, symptoms she should be insisting adults call you for. Not the a-hole, following through on commitments is important, but not nearly as much as your daughter's health and safety. Her coach seems to be viewing her as an object, personal possession. What I mean by that is, she feels entitled to your daughter's time and energy, doesn't care about her well-being as a human being, and values her exclusively by what she can do for her, mad skills that ramp up the difficulty. Your daughter deserves a coach who sees her as a person. This individual is lucky pulling your daughter is all you did. She ignored an explicit instruction from a parent regarding an athlete's serious medical condition. She made the active choice to ignore it. Once again, she was viewing your daughter as an object. If she called you her shiny special athlete might leave practice early. Obviously, we can't have that since cheer is all about the coach, right? Good on you for refusing to tolerate that. It's a great example to set for your daughter. Wishing her all the best flying for a new team. I live across the road from a primary school. Lately a child has been walking past my house at the end of each school day and looking through my mailbox and sometimes taking my mail. There is video of this coming from my security cameras. I'd say they are around 8 years old. They are accompanied by an adult who is not doing anything to stop this behavior, and my neighbors have also had issues with mail going missing. I'm fed up, so I took screenshots of one of the videos that shows the child taking things from my letterbox and printed them off, sealed them in an envelope with a note saying that the police are following them and that they are going to take them to jail if they keep stealing mail. Sealed it up with a stamp. Left it in my mailbox, and right as school time ended, I watched from my phone at work as the child went into my mailbox and removed the letter. Not even 10 minutes later, my Ring camera is going crazy and the mother of the child is banging down my door. I answer it remotely and basically tell her that if she can't control her kid, then she can't get pissed off when other people take things into their own hands. She was very unhappy and the kid was howling in the background, distressed that they were going to jail. The mother demanded I tell the kid that the police won't be coming for them, but I told her that maybe it was time for her to step up as a parent and explain why this is happening. I finished off with a warning that if she dares to try anything, I have a clear image of her face and I have security cameras everywhere. My colleague overheard me speaking to her over the Ring camera, and after I hung up, he asked what happened. I told him everything, and he was quite disapproving and says the kids are hard to control, so of course they do crap like this. But this has been a constant thing spanning over the last month, but at the same time, I'm not a parent, so I have no idea how hard it is to keep track of a kid. Not the a-hole. I laughed a bit lol. Stealing mail is no joke, especially nowadays where people get medicine in the mail. Better to learn now before police actually get involved. You mean FBI? It's a felony. That would be the United States Postal Inspection Service. Not the a-hole. Kids are certainly not that hard to control. Stealing mail is a crime. I'm shocked the parent let it go on for this long. I have a theory that the parent encourages it. Not the a-hole. It's not even like you gave the kid the letter in their hand. They literally stole it from your mailbox. My 30 son is 14 and lives with me full time, while his mom has him every other weekend. Normally I don't question how I discipline my son, but given that his mom seems to be kicking up a fuss, I just want to be sure. Recently my neighbor, 65, approached me. She told me she's noticed someone keeps entering her garden and stealing berries and also oranges from her tree. Then leave a mess behind. So she had set up some cameras. Turns out my son has jumped the fence a few times early in the morning and has stole from her garden. Luckily she's been very sweet about it and isn't that mad, she just wanted me to be aware. Now me, I was furious because my son should know better than to be a thief. When I talked to him he thought it was no big deal and he only wanted some for him and his friends. I made him walk over and apologize to her, not only for stealing, but trespassing onto her property, and told him how serious that is no matter what he was doing or what he stole. I worked something out with her because I really want him to learn from this mistake. So we agreed for each time he's jumped over and stolen from her, he owes her 1 day of working in her garden. 1 day is really only an hour or two of pulling out weeds, watering her grass, and helping her around the yard in any way she needs. My son accepted his punishment, even if he wasn't thrilled about it. He still owes her 3 days, which he will resume once she gets back from her vacation. My son was at his mom's this weekend and he mentioned it to her. Now she's calling me saying I'm overreacting when all he took was some fruits, not like he stole her lawnmower or something. She thinks an apology would have been more than enough and to cut the harsh punishment short. We argued a bit, and in the end I said he still needs to help her those 3 days since that's the price for trespassing her property, making a mess and stealing from her. X still claims I'm being a huge ass over this and won't let it go. I'm used to her having issues about everything, but normally she doesn't make it into this big of a deal. So far the people I've asked, my buddies and my sister, are split on it. So I wanted to know what others also think. Am I being an a-hole making him do this work as punishment for what he did? Not the a-hole. Your punishment makes perfect sense. Son will learn how hard it is to keep the garden. The crime fits the punishment and also establishes a better relationship with the neighbor. OP's ex likely doesn't do much parenting in comparison if she won't let it go, to be honest. Not the a-hole. Fruits today, appliances tomorrow. It's not as if your son is starving. And how difficult is it to ask permission from your neighbor? Stealing is stealing. And in this case it seems more want than need, and that makes it worse. Not the a-hole, you're being a good and wise dad. Mom is correct that it wasn't like stealing a lawnmower, but if you don't address it when they're taking small items, then when they get to the larger items it's usually too late. With your method you're teaching him the work that goes into your neighbor's garden, and hopefully next time he wants a fruit, then he'll stop and ask first. I, 34, share a flat with Lauren, 29, who has 3 children, 7, 4, 4. I pay 2/3 of the rent as well as for our maid. The kids are very active and see everything as toys, so I try to keep all my belongings in my room that I always lock up. I'm also extra careful when it comes to keeping them away from my violin because it was expensive, £3,000, and playing it helps me deal with stress. As I came home from work today, Lauren immediately asked me to talk and seemed very nervous. Apparently I forgot my violin in the sitting room and, well, the kids completely destroyed it. From what Lauren told me, she was at the kitchen cooking dinner when she heard loud noises, and when she came to see what they did, they've already damaged it beyond repair. I said that, while I fully understand that she can't control every move they make, she's responsible for the damage they cause, and therefore I think she should buy me a new violin. The thing is, while I earn enough to be able to comfortably afford a good violin, Lauren lives from paycheck to paycheck. I suggested that she cancels her kids' extracurricular activities and doesn't take any more trips with them until the cost is paid off, and she doesn't have to pay the whole amount at once, but can do it in small portions over, let's say a year for example. Lauren then said I don't understand what it's like to be a parent, to which I responded that she doesn't understand what it's like to be a violinist. Then she went to her room. While I think I shouldn't spend thousands of pounds because of something her children did, it's also rather unfair to make her do that while she lives from paycheck to paycheck. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, she apparently doesn't know what it's like to be a parent. A parent is responsible for their child's actions and teaching them right and wrong and not to touch other people's stuff. Show no mercy, she owes you the same violin. When my son was a sweet precocious angel of a 2-year-old, we were playing with his Fisher-Price car in the driveway. A very new shiny BMW turned down the alley, so we backed up towards the garage so he could pass. Faster than a trainer speeding bullet, this little fucker picked up a loose brick from I'm assuming the hellscape dimension he came from and lobbed it straight at the passing car door with immense speed that would make Nolan Ryan weep tears of pride. I was weeping tears of apology. Driver was super kind about the whole thing, but I, a single mom of a 2, 5, and 8-year-old paid that man the $2,200 it cost to fix his door over the course of about 6 months. Sure, he could have obviously eaten the cost much more comfortably than I could at the time, but it wasn't his responsibility to do so. It was mine, BC it was my kid under my watch, and maybe the demon will pay me back one day, when he is a major league pitcher. You should work out a repayment plan that is reasonable and in writing, and she should absolutely reimburse for the full cost of the violin. And then she should take a few minutes to teach her kids how to not destroy everything they see and respect other people's belongings. 100%, not the a-hole. Everyone sucks here, I kind of feel like you should pay at least half. Yeah, her kid shouldn't have broken it, but you also left it out. You for whatever reason have agreed to a living situation with small children, which means you agree to childproofing shared spaces. And childproofing means making sure breakable stuff is kept out of kids' reach. If the kids had ventured into your space and destroyed it, then she would be fully responsible. But I can see other people feeling differently. I honestly don't understand why this isn't higher. OP willingly agreed to live with somebody with 3 small children. Precautions need to be taken to ensure the safety of expensive items. That's on OP. If you don't want to have to worry about child-proofing your house, maybe don't live with somebody who has 3 young children. Yes, the mom is partially responsible. But come on, put yourself in the mom's position. She can't let the kids starve. She can't have them in the kitchen while she's cooking them food because it's dangerous. The safest, closest option is letting them play in the living room while she cooks. OP clearly stated that they usually lock up the violin, so I'm sure the mom wasn't aware it was in the living room. I don't even have kids and I know that they're known for breaking shit in like 5 seconds. Especially if it's something they know they aren't supposed to touch. I think a 50-50 split of the cost would be the best compromise. It's a shitty situation and that would be the most fair outcome for both parties.